This is Life with Herpes, and this is episode 108. Hello, aloha. I am Alexandra Harbushka. I am the host, the founder, the creator of Life with Herpes, and you are with me in Hawaii. So as you can see behind me, there's huge waves, huge. So you can hear it crashing in the background, but I thought it's fun, right? It's fun to hear waves, something totally different. All right, so before I begin, I want to make sure you are aware of the community here at Life with Herpes. Go on ahead over to lifewithherpes.com and you'll find tons of information as well as an opportunity to join the community. Really, really great opportunity. Well, the opportunity is always there, but I'd love to invite you to join. It's just such a warm, welcoming community. So I will talk about it at the end. So as I mentioned, I am here in Hawaii, and I am actually at the property at the hotel where Forgetting Sarah Marshall was filmed. So I don't know if you've seen that movie, but it is absolutely hilarious. It's one of my favorites, and I didn't know that this is actually the property that it was filmed. In that movie, I don't know if you remember, but Russell Brand, he talks about having herpes, and he makes a herpes joke, and it is funny. I think Russell is absolutely hilarious, so he was like the perfect character for this movie, but he does make a joke about having genital herpes. And I don't know about you and myself, we've all been in situations where the joke is funny and then you have a realization like, oh, but it was about me. But it really wasn't about me because it was just a joke, but it was funny. And then maybe anger sets in, or maybe like sorrow sets in, or feeling bad for yourself, or then, again, anger. So you go through all these emotions. I hear a lot in our community of like, how do I handle those comments or the jokes, or in the media there's so much little hints, little jokes about having herpes. So I thought I'd use this as an awesome opportunity, since we are at the hotel here where there was a herpes joke. By the way, if you have not seen Forgetting Sarah Marshall, go Netflix it. It is awesome, and you'll love it. It's hilarious. So here's some things to think about with the criticism that does happen when we do joke about herpes, or any other topic for that matter. When somebody says something, it gives you that feeling that you're just kind of going, oh, I don't like how I heard that, or everybody's laughing, but it made me really uncomfortable. So what I want you to do is, there is that fine line of, do I keep my integrity and do I speak up? Or is it really inappropriate for me to speak up? And so you need to do some soul searching on that and really decide, like, hey, was this something that's that really important to me that I speak up for myself? Or is it one of those things where you're like, no, I'm not ready? And as time goes on, it might build and you're like, no, I'm gonna stand up for this. Like, it's not a big deal anymore. And I feel this way, and by you doing this, by you saying that, is really hurting my feelings and potentially other people's. It's hurting their feelings. So really look at the integrity of it, for your integrity, to decide if you are ready or when you're not ready. So I have some steps here that I want to just share with you to make that decision before you speak up. So number one, which I just mentioned, consider the consequences. Are there any consequences to you speaking up? Is it the right time, the right place, the right venue, the right people? Is it in the workplace? That may or may not be the right place. They always say, don't talk about politics, don't talk about religion, because it really boils people's blood when there's a disagreement or a disbelief. Very similar when you're talking about herpes. So decide, what are the consequences of having that conversation, and are there any consequences? So think about that, where you are. Number two, don't assume. Don't assume that person meant to hurt you or meant to offend anybody. So just don't jump to assumption. That's one of the biggest lessons we learn even in kindergarten, is don't assume, right? It makes an ass out of you and me. So never assume that's what somebody was meaning to say. So there's ways to approach that by asking more questions, not jumping to conclusion, and just going through the formula to understand and process really what was being said. Within that, don't fire back. So that's part of the non-assuming. Don't fire back. Don't be like, oh, well, you meant this and blah, blah, blah. No, you just kind of sit back, take it in, digest it, understand in your mind is like, is that exactly what I heard? Was that voice inflection really pointed at me? Was it pointed at someone? Was it just someone who was just chit-chatting away? Were they drunk? Were they, so don't fire back. Don't assume. This one is a really important one, and you can use this at any time in conflict resolution, is talk about how you feel. So if you do make the decision where you want to discuss this with somebody, talk about your feelings, because nobody can ever disagree with, this is how I feel. So you can't disagree with how I feel because you can't feel what I feel, right? So if you use the words like, hey, that comment made me very uncomfortable, and I feel this way because, whatever your because is, right? So I felt angry at what was said because, or I felt uncomfortable, or I felt sad, or I felt, hey, it was funny, however, there are other people that may be living with genital herpes, or the herpes joke is funny, but do you realize, so come up with using I feel. And like I said, use that in any time for conflict management. Anytime there is any other opportunity to say, hey, I feel, and my feelings were hurt because, and this is how I feel about it. All right. And lastly, what is a great way is educate them. So again, before jumping to conclusions and assumptions and firing back and being super fiery about it, talk about how you feel and then educate them. Say like, hey, I don't know if you realize, but when you make that herpes joke, do you realize that 16% of the population have it? So if you're employed and you have a company of 100 people, 16% of, 16 people in the 100 will have it, more or less, right? I believe the statistic is way higher. 2 out of 3 have oral herpes, so and 1 out of 6 have genital herpes. So when you really look at everything of just the masses of people that would have herpes in this joke, I don't know if you realize, but you could be really triggering a lot of insecurities or hurting other people as well. There's just a lot of people that are living with it. 2 out of 3, I don't know if you know what it is. It's just a virus. Yes, the stigma does say it's sexually transmitted, but you know what? There's other ways that it is transmitted, and it really isn't a big deal. So if you just take the time to educate them on actually what herpes is, it might give them an aha moment or a realization. Now, of course, there always are the chances when there are those assholes, and just in those situations, walk away. It's a lot of times it's just not worth it. But if you're really in a situation where there's multiple times or there's jokes, then yeah, decide if what the consequence is. And if you're like, you know what, I'm ready to speak up, then do it. Speak up, have your voice and make it heard and be proud and all that. So it's really an important thing. Again, this can be for any situation. In fact, here, I hear herpes jokes all the time. I'm at the point where I laugh. It doesn't trigger me, but there's been many, many times where I'm like, oh, that's funny. Oh, wait, that's actually about the joke's on me. Like that was about me. So if you can learn to remove yourself from it, and enjoy life and not take it so harsh and seriously and just enjoy it, that'll be a lot better. All right. So I hope this helped. Again, go watch Forgetting Sarah Marshall. It's absolutely hilarious. And this is the property. So if you have not joined the community, like I said, I'd love to invite you to come over and join. It is $2.99 a month. It is a subscription-based community. There are hundreds of people over there just like you and just like me who do have genital herpes. It's super warm, super caring. I have so many people saying, if I didn't join this community, I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't have been able to heal. I wouldn't have met my love. I wouldn't have broken up with the person who gave me herpes. Like all these awesome things are transforming through this Life with Herpes Secret Society community. So go to lifewithherpes.com, join. I look forward to seeing you over there. I look forward to meeting you. All right, my friends, I will talk to you soon. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day. Mahalo.